Welcome back to America Trends. Coming up, Tom Del Beccaro on the political issues of the day, including the student walkout, the wall, Rex Tillerson's firing, Mike Pompeo's hiring, and as much as we can fit in. He's with Political Vanguard, of course, and we'll talk to him in just a little bit. But first, who gets custody of Fido if one's nuclear family dissolves? It is a huge topic in the courts. In the past, the answer was pretty simple. The courts had been accustomed to treating pets like property. However, in today's world, the courts are starting to treat pet custody cases the way they treat child custody cases. And now we have Jacqueline Newman, a New York City-based divorce lawyer, matrimonial law expert from New York, to join us to break this all down for us. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So how does this all work out? Who gets the dog?
You know, it's an excellent question. So really what it comes down to is that we're going to look at what's in the best interest of the dog. Now, it is still property, technically by law. However, courts, as you said before, really are starting to look at what makes sense. You know, they look at the family, they look at the family dynamics, they look at, you know, who has the better relationship with the dog, and they'll take all that into account.
So I understand you have some tips on what to do now if you think that something could be falling apart. You should actually keep a journal with what you do with the dog, how you take care of the dog, etc.
That's right. You want to start building your case. So you want to start talking about exactly what you had said. You know, first of all, you look at, who brought the dog into the marriage. That's your number one thing. And then after that, you say, okay, well, let's say my spouse brought the dog into the marriage, but I'm really the one who takes care of this dog. I'm the one who takes the dog to the vet. I figured out the vet. I take him on his special walks. I take him to doggy daycare and everything else and make his food. You know, you're really the one who does everything. Then you want to start writing that down and pay attention to it. So therefore, you can present to someone that you're the best person to care for this animal.
Have you ever talked to any judges about what goes through their minds when they're facing a case like this?
Well, I think it really depends on how much of an animal lover they are. But many people in today's society take, their relationships with their pets very, very seriously. So, while, I can't say that a court would necessarily put it in the same exact category as their children, I think judges do take it seriously. I think that they look at, again, what's going to make the most sense. I mean, often the way that they will look at this is they will say, the animal follows the children. So if you have a custody arrangement where the kids are with dad on Monday and Tuesday and with mom on Wednesday and Thursday, a lot of times the animal and the dog will just go with the kids.
I wonder if it has a lot to do with if one parent, so to speak, is a stay-at-home mom or dad.
I think that, that does obviously play a role. So if you have a parent that's home all the time and you have another parent that's in the workforce, the parent that's home probably will have a closer relationship with the animal and do more of the day-to-day caring. So, of course, it does factor in.
We're talking to Jacqueline Newman, a New York City-based divorce lawyer. nycdivorcelawyer.com is the website. Jacqueline, how long have you been doing this?
I've been practicing for almost 20 years.
So when did you see something change about the way this has been handled in the court system, the fight over Fido?
You're seeing the trend continuing. So I would say probably over the last anywhere between, say, 5 to 10 years, you're really seeing judges no longer looking at, comparing the dog and the couch in the same sentence. Now, very often you're saying, all right, what makes the most sense for this family? So I would say probably over the last 5 or 10 years.
5 or 10 years. Have there been any cases that surprised you that you've worked on or heard about?
Yeah, I mean, it always sort of surprises me, even though I happen to be an animal lover myself. But I actually have a case right now where the people they've settled custody with their children, but they are really fighting about the animal. And it's one of those things where it was the husband's dog before the marriage. And even though the kids love the dog and the wife loves the dog, the husband feels very strongly that this is man's best friend and he should be with this dog at all times and is not giving up. And it might break down this entire settlement.
Oh my gosh, so it lengthens and the lawyers all get more money because they're fighting over the dog, which is very important though, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I was just going to ask you though, does who had the dog first, like if they brought it into the marriage, does that play a role?
It does play a role. So that's where, it's more the property element. So again, if it's a premarital dog, then arguably it is the owner, the person who brought the dog into the marriage is the person that does own that animal. That said, as I said, courts are kind of looking a little bit more to it. The other thing people are fighting about a lot is, what I call the doggy child support.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure.
Animals are very expensive. And, especially in New York City, I've seen cases where this one in particular, the dog can sometimes cost up to $1,000 a week the dog is going to the grooming and the dog has special foods and a lot of different type of things. So, they can be very, very expensive. And when you're in a situation like that, that's another thing to fight about.
Wow. So what do judges do? Because if both parties wanted the dog and say the guy didn't get it and the wife says, okay, I get him, great, and now give me $1,000 a month, do the judges go for that?
Well, the way they'll do it, they won't ever order it as actually doggy support. But the way that they will do it is that they'll call it spousal support. So, basically we consider it part of a lifestyle. That's pretty much, I think, how it would probably get disguised.
Hey, Jacqueline, you've got a couple books. Oh, look at that. Look, the dog's in the middle. The couple clearly not seeing eye to eye. Jacqueline, tell me about your books. You have one you wrote geared toward women and one geared toward men.
So yes, I've written Soon to Be X, which is a woman's guide to divorce and her relaunch, and then Soon to Be X for Men, which is a husband's guide to basically getting through it. It survives fatherhood, wealth, and sanity. So really my thought was that I really just wanted to be in a situation where I'm speaking to both of my clients and kind of help guide them through whatever. It's a very difficult process.
That's sort of cool to have everything right there in a little guide that you have said to everyone and remember it and refer them to it. Do you ever get people in there that you think, why are these people divorcing, and do they ever get back together? Maybe your book helped them.
It doesn't happen all the time, but, very often when clients come in, I can see why they're getting married and why they're getting divorced. And, as we often say in the matrimonial world is, elephants don't marry giraffes. So a lot of times there's a big similarity between the two people. But every now and again, I do have clients that, you are surprised. And, one of my favorite stories was a woman who, I had a very close relationship with, and when they were getting divorced, they got along so well, and I couldn't understand why they were getting divorced. And I asked her, and, she said she had an affair during the marriage, and the husband never found out. And she said, I had an affair for years. I barely hid it, but he barely noticed.
Oh, wow. It's tough. We have about 20 more seconds. Do you want to tell us your best advice that you give in either one of your books?
I think the best advice really is the reason that people get divorced. I think it all comes down to communication and expectations. And so, when it comes to communication, I think that, you may think it's good that all of a sudden someone's respecting the fact that you're not talking in the car when they really want to listen to the radio, but you should realize that that could be a sign. And so really learning how to communicate is number one. And the second one is managing your expectations. It's not always chocolates and flowers every night. So you need to be able to be realistic about what life is going to be.
Good advice from Jacqueline Newman, friend of the show, New York City-based divorce lawyer, matrimony law expert. You can see more right here at our website, nycdivorcelawyer.com. Thank you so much for being here, Jacqueline.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And still ahead on America Trends, a California woman using her creative skills to make jewelry and careers for others.